Having received a slap in the face from the West in response to an ultimatum to Ukraine, Putin rushed to Asia. First, he hugged the North Korean boil, and even signed a piece of paper with him on strategic partnership. Then he slipped into Hanoi to the sluggishly hesitant communists. What caught my eye? From yesterday's successful supermacho, for whom even Queen Elizabeth of Britain waited an hour and a half, Putin turned into an ingratiating merchant of decay. It is as if he is wedded to death, and is shrouded in the stinking spirit of the crypt. He is a political undead, clinging to power that is already slipping away. And no matter what agreements he signs today, they are insignificant, just like he himself. South Korea, in response to the strategic rat partnership with Kim, is ready to begin direct military supplies to Ukraine. The administration of President Yoon Suk-yeol is studying the possibility of supplying Kyiv with various types of weapons, including 155mm artillery shells and air defense systems. Russian ambassador to Seoul Georgy Zinoviev was summoned to the South Korean Foreign Ministry, where he was protested over the conclusion of a strategic partnership agreement between Moscow and Pyongyang. And at this time, the Ukrainian armed forces are increasingly hammering in Crimea and lighting up Russian oil depots, refineries and airfields. On Friday, the Temruk, Yeysk and Seversky districts of the Krasnodar territory were attacked. The Yuzhny bus station and the boiler house in Krasnodar, the Ilsky oil refinery and the military airfield in Yeysk were actively clapped. Putin's army is losing 1,000 dead racists every day. And no supplies of North Korean meat to the Ukrainian front will save them. ATACMS will fry everyone. The United States now allows strikes on any territory of Russia where occupation forces cross or are preparing to cross the border in order to seize Ukrainian territories. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan clarified, "It's not a matter of geography. It's a matter of common sense. If Russia is attacking or planning to attack Ukraine from its territory, then it makes sense to allow Ukraine to strike back at the forces that are attacking it from the other side of the border." The Americans' blow to the Moscow exchange was expected, but it still turned out to be a knockout. The EU agreed on the 14th package of sanctions against Russia. Japan introduced sanctions against the leadership of the Central Election Commission and large Russian companies working for the war. In addition, Japan imposed sanctions against a number of foreign companies for supporting racist aggression, imposing trade restrictions on microelectronics manufacturers from China for the first time. All that remains for the politically bankrupt Putin is to wave the last banknote over his head, the nuclear card. He hastily announces a revision of the nuclear doctrine and declares his readiness to go to the end in Ukraine. NATO is putting its nuclear forces on full alert. The Kremlin's undead are raising the stakes. They are already dead, but they don't die a second time. The United States has introduced a bill recognizing Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism. The bipartisan bill was sponsored by Senators Lindsey Graham from the Republicans and Richard Blumenthal from the Democrats. Lindsey Graham is determined to smash the cave to the ground. Quote, "This admission will greatly increase the tools available to the United States to punish Putin for his barbaric behavior in Ukraine and his destructive actions in Africa and the world at large. Putin's Russia is a state sponsor of terrorism, and it is high time that this is officially recognized in accordance with the law. The club of assholes already includes Cuba, Iran, North Korea and Syria, so Putin and his natives will be in good company. The bill will have secondary effects, including sanctions for countries collaborating with the cave, expanding the list of dual-use goods that will not be allowed to be exported to the Russian Federation. So no enemy business, including Google and Microsoft, no unsecured goods and alien food. It's all Putin with the new saber-toothed elite, reindeer moss, and the spiritual Russian Orthodox Church with roots going back to the Taliban. It's time to put the Russian undead that have roamed the world into the crypt. And they will do this more and more actively. No matter how hard the rattler tries, he is unlikely to make it to the November elections in the United States. For Biden, this is the deadline when he must present the head of a bald man to the electorate with the words, "Grandfather promised. Grandfather did." Putin hopes to outlast Biden and get along with Trump, and then somehow hang on to sanctions until 2030. But this scoundrel has angered the Western elite too much. And she doesn't want him to continue to spoil and smoke the sky. Therefore, it will definitely be concreted into the crypt. If he doesn't want to go it alone, they will fill the entire cave with concrete, along with the furry creatures who have already shown their true appearance as savages. That is why no Russian oppositionists are invited anywhere anymore. Ubliadistan has no place on the geopolitical map of the future. It's time to bury this undead.